Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. I'm your humble host, Mr. David Null, also known as Hawkeye Two Feathers. And I'm doing a quick update. We'll see how quick it is. I'm usually long winded. But it has to do with the medicine cards that I um, have had the pleasure. It looks backwards to me, but I don't know if it's backwards to you. But anyway, so the last reading I I did a video about it. And so I'm not going to go into that other than that the drawing of the cards that I did at that particular time was a 9 card draw that's similar to what the book calls for. And so when in doing so, I did the video on those 9 cards and read what each of those meant. All right, so a few days later, I had written everything down and made my notes and cogitated on it. And then I took the cards, and there's 43 of them in the deck. I think that's right. Whoops. 44. There are 44 cards, Hummingbird being the last. And so, but anyway, so I took the cards and I made sure they were all correct. And then I shuffled them back in these 9 cards back into the 44. Now, I'm not a mathematician, and I can't go into the what is the prognosis of this or what are the odds or whatever. But you got to consider 44 cards, 9 cards I pulled. On the second time that I did the reading, I was very careful and to make sure that those 9 cards were separated in the deck. And so I went ahead and did my next card pull of 9. Of those 9 cards, 6 of them were of the first draw. Now, they weren't in the same order, but 6 out of the 9 cards that I pulled the first time showed up in the second draw. Now, I've spent several days considering this and what are the ramifications thereof and so forth. And I'm realizing that whatever transpired during the second reading and whatever I was supposed to see, there are 6 cards that are very strong that I need to cogitate more on. For example, Whale showed up again, which was like, okay. Something else that showed up, and I thought that I had all of the cards straight up and down, in other words, face up. And when I got to like the third card, I'm sorry, it was the 5th card. It's an upside down fox. And I'm thinking to myself, well, in the last one, fox replaced wolf, both being canines and 4-leggeds. Something else that showed up, which was different to me, was skunk, right side up. And also in the second position was snake. Now, I again picked the dragonfly. I again picked the otter, which is very strong. I again picked, well, there's the upside down fox. 1, 2, 3, 4. Something's wrong. I miscounted. Hang on, y'all. Something's weird. Okay, Al was in my first draw. Bad lighting. Whale was in my first draw. Crow was in my first draw. Lynx was in my first draw. So that's 4. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, okay, I got it right. I thought maybe I'd made a mistake. But so out of the first 9 cards that I drew 6 of the first 9. Now I could see my drawing 1 or 2 or even 3, but 6 out of the first 9. So let me take you into what Snake says, just to share with you about this. And Snake is number 6. And it says snake medicine people are very rare. Their initiation involves experience in living through multiple snake bites, which allows them to transmute all poisons, be they mental, physical, spiritual, or emotional. The power of snake medicine is the power of creation, for it embodies sexuality, psychic energy, alchemy, reproduction, and ascension or immortality. The transmutation of the life-death rebirth cycle is exemplified by the shedding of snake skins. It is the energy of wholeness, cosmic consciousness, and the ability to experience anything willingly and without resistance. It is the knowledge that all things are equal in creation and that those things which might be experienced as poison can be eaten, ingested, integrated, and transmuted if one has the proper state of mind. Thoth, the Atlantean, isn't that interesting that this is being brought into here, who later returned as Hermes and was the father of alchemy, used the symbology of 2 snakes intertwining around a sword to represent healing. This medicine teaches you on a personal level that you are a universal being. Through accepting all aspects of your life, you can bring about the transmutation of the fire medicine. This fire energy, when functioning on the material plane, creates passion, desire, procreation, and physical vitality. On the emotional plane, it becomes ambition, creation, resolution, and dreams. On the mental plane, it becomes intellect, power, charisma, and leadership. When this snake energy reaches the spiritual plane, it becomes wisdom, understanding, wholeness, and connection to the Great Spirit. If you have chosen this symbol, there is a need within you to transmute some thought, action, or desire so that the wholeness may be achieved. This is heavy magic, but remember, magic is no more than a change in consciousness. Become the magician or the enchantress. Transmute the energy and accept the power of the fire. Now, I bring this up because any of you who have followed me, you've known that I identify with this last part in that I'm trying to reach a spiritual plane. I'm trying to reach the wisdom and the understanding of the universe, the wholeness and the connection with all things to Great Spirit. So the fact that snake appears in these cards to me is like, okay, now what most people don't know is that I have resident snakes here at this house. And I don't speak about it much because people freak out. But I have some videotapes and some pictures of a resident oak snake. And it's several family members over the years who've been raiding my chicken pen of chickens and of eggs. But this thing is like 7 feet long. I've held it up and its tail hits the ground. And I'm almost 6. I'm about 5'10" and a half, 5'11". And so when I hold this snake up, this thing reaches the ground. It's close to 7 feet, which is a huge snake. And it lives around the house, getting rid of rats and mice and chickens, small chickens and eggs and things. So I haven't discussed this with anybody because, it's like, you have a resident giant snake around your house? Yeah, it's been seen in the house. What? You're kidding. No, it's been in the house. What? So I have snake energy has been around me, but not necessarily that of a poisonous type. Now, I have been around snakes. I have had some very close calls with water moccasins in the swamps, literally scream at the top of my lungs like a little girl, and didn't realize I could ever hit a note that high. But a moccasin, I was literally between me and this camera, which is only about 2 feet, maybe. I was that close with my face to a water moccasin whose head and mouth were bigger than my hand. And I had dreamed about it the night before, which was the contrary part. And even though that I went prepared into the swamp that day with knowledge to be careful of snakes, I was literally face to face with one of the biggest moccasins I have ever seen in my life. It was huge. Anyway, but to the point. So snake medicine has been in my life at different times for different reasons, and for reasons I honestly didn't understand, because I just kind of took it as a sideline. I didn't take snake as a totem, but snake's always been around me in my yard, in my house. It's okie dokie. So with that said, when snake showed up as one of the new 3 cards, and I take the order. Let me back up just a tad. The order in which the cards showed up to me was not near as important as the fact that 6 out of 9 showed up again. And that those cards are very important cards. But for my personal message, there were 3 other cards that need to be changed in the first set because there just wasn't enough room. And so with that, I realized that Otter shows up again, and I won't go back through Otter. Dragonfly showed up again, which I have seen several times, and I've left water out and so forth. Very interesting. Skunk. Now, this one really surprised me. But in the book, Otter is number 8. Snake is number 6. Not that there's anything particular in this, but I just wanted to. Skunk is number 7. Just saying that the first 4 cards, even though the order is different, they show up in the book as snake, otter. I'm sorry, snake, skunk, and then otter. If you just use the book, but the fact that they come in an order when I look them up, I think you get where I'm going with this. So let's go to snake. I'm sorry. Let's go to skunk. This is exactly what it says. All right. Skunk medicine. Go ahead and laugh. Now, I'm reading out of this book right here that came with this medicine cards. It says, go ahead and laugh. This furry little animal has a reputation that contains a great deal of power. Due to its distinctive behavior, humans give this tiny little smelly creature a wide berth. The key word here is respect. Interesting. Unlike other predatory animals, skunk does not threaten your life, but threaten your senses. You know this to be true if you have ever been in the vicinity of its prey. And oh my goodness, if you've ever smelled skunk. In observing the habit patterns of skunk, it is easy to notice the playfulness and nonchalance of its natural behavior. The I dare you attitude of this 4-legged creature commands you as the observer to respect the space by mere reputation alone. That's so very true. Skunk is teaching you that by walking your talk, and by respecting yourself, you will create a position of strength and honored reputation. The carriage of your body relates to others what you believe about yourself. There is no need to bully, aggravate, torment, or overpower other beings when your sense of self is intact. As with skunk, the resonant field of energy around your body is relayed to the senses. Self-esteem permeates the body's energy and is instantly recognized as extrasensory level by others. Interesting. It says, learn to assert. Let me back up. Learn to assert without ego what you are. Respect follows. I'm always talking about respect, but not necessarily to me, but to each individual and to ourselves. So, boy, does this kind of like fall right in line there. Your self-respectful attitude will repel those who are not of like mind, and yet will attract those who choose the same pathway. As the odor of skunk attracts others of its own kind, It will repel those who will not respect its space. Interesting. Skunk medicine people have the ability to attract others. That's interesting. And that they are very charismatic. At the same time, the other side of their natural power is to repel those who seek to take energy from them without recycling the gifts they have taken. Ooh, have I been talking about that one? You know, gimme, gimme, gimme without giving back. Skunk medicine people also know how to use the energy flows that will attract a lover. Well, I'm not so good at that. I'm going to skip that paragraph because that just doesn't fit. Maybe years ago, but not now. In skunk medicine, it is going to learn how to handle energy flows. Modern psychologists call this body language. In tribal teachings, this is your personal medicine, which you are showing to others. Use your medicine well and know that you are known by your reputation. How you use your energy will attract either honor or disgrace. You may want to examine what energy you are putting out that creates your present situation. If you have chosen this symbol, you are being asked to notice the kinds of people who are attracted to you. That's an interesting. If they emulate favorable characteristics, have enough self-esteem to recognize those characteristics within yourself. Walk tall and be proud of the accomplishments you have made. Bear in mind that what you believe about yourself is your ultimate protection. Protect your self-respect. Now, I've recently made a couple of videos, and I'm always talking about honor and the honor of self, and that we need to honor ourselves. I recently did one on Facebook, and I was trying to point that out, that it right now the angel messages that are coming down are that each one of us needs to hold on to our own core self, that we need to meditate within our own self and to keep ourselves strong and to use the source energy rather than our own to channel out prayers or good wishes or healing or whatever it is we do, but to try to stay close to home. And so it's like, wow. So I read these cards and I glanced through, but didn't really ruminate much on each one of these readings. I wanted to do it live, which is what I'm doing now. And so I realized that in my ruminations, though, that what is said for each of these cards holds true to what I've been trying to describe to other people. It's your own self-respect. If you know who you are with your own spirituality, then nobody can shake you from it. If it's the Christ, if it's the Buddha, if it's the whoever, it's that if you have that in your heart and you are connected to the source energy and with Creator, and that you understand that, then nobody can shake you from that. Nobody, you might play along the game, but you're not going to actually give that thought up in your head because you know it to be true. And no one can take that truth away from you. And that the knowing and the knowledge of that understanding is what is when you finally receive it and get it, it changes your whole perspective on everything. So the next card that showed up, which I want to explain, that I thought all of the cards were upright. So I was surprised to find this card upside down, which was Fox. And it happens to be the number 25 card, for whatever that's worth. It's out of sync from the other ones, but there's the upside down Fox. Now, Fox is a wily critter, and there are different stories in different tribes, different areas of the country, and different areas of the world. And some foxes are different shapes. But anyway, but there's a lot of Fox is known a lot of times as a trickster. And let me just read this. The first part of this is that fox, the main word for fox is camouflage, which I thought was interesting. I was wearing camouflage the other night when I did the drawing. But anyway, Wily fox has many allies in the woodlands, including the foliage, which can offer protection and much medicine. Fox is seemingly able to vanish amidst the lush undergrowth of the forest. This flora is Fox's ally. The ability to meld into one's surroundings and to be unnoticed is a powerful gift when one is observing the activities of others. Now, that part is very true. Now, the next paragraph. Another natural gift of fox is the ability to adapt to winter by changing color like the chameleon. In rich white winter coat allows fox to blend into the snow when the leaves no longer linger. Fox medicine involves adaptability, cunning, observation, integration, and swiftness of thought and action. These traits may also include quick decisiveness and sure footedness in the physical world. Mm. Now I want to reach out. I want to. That was just the beginning of what fox is. Now it means camouflage, which I never considered fox to be camouflage, but it as a person who lives in the woods, it's very difficult to see a fox. I mean, even when you're in the woods and looking for stuff, to notice a fox is very, very hard. Now, I know there are foxes around my yard because something that a trapper taught me, I don't know, 30 years ago, was that foxes will go out of their way to like walk through an ant bed. And so I live in South Georgia. There are, fire ant beds everywhere. And in my yard, I've noticed that there are paw prints in the ant mounds right behind my house. And so, but I know fox comes around because of my chickens and issues over the years. So I know foxes around my house all the time because I see the markings. Do I see the fox? No. So it's interesting. But the fact that I thought that all of these cards were in the upright position and this one turned in upside down, I was like, how'd that happen? Okay, it's all right. That's what the cards are for. But the contrary part of fox is this: watch out for wily fox if this card has appeared reversed. Someone may be watching you and trying to figure out your next move. Well, I used to be paranoid. I'm not much anymore. But if you look deeper, however, it may be that you are watching yourself to prove to yourself that you exist. Now that fits me because I'm looking, well, I know I exist, but in all of my teachings and meditations and I'm still seeking knowledge. What am I still don't know. I'm trying to prove who am I? What is the most of the I am that I am? That's all I'm looking for. I'm not trying to be better than someone. I'm trying to be the best of me, whatever that is, right? So, but it says, if you look deeper, however, it may be that you are watching yourself to prove to yourself that you exist. Oh, holy crap. Well, I know that I exist, but with all of these teachings and all the videos and everything, that really kind of fits. If you have become a wallflower to the point of disappearing, you may need to decide that you are worth noticing. Now, there is some truth in that, but my current situation doesn't allow me to go travel around and be a non-wallflower. But I do these videos to whoever happens to stop by and visit and say hi with me. Now, contrary fox is as foolish as it is cunning. Well, I've been a foolish individual in my life, so let's see. And you may have fooled yourself into believing that your low self-esteem is due to your being born plain or having an ordinary life. Now, if you've watched any of my videos, you've known that I do come from a very ordinary life, and I have spent years overcoming this "why am I not good enough" syndrome. Fox upside down. Oh, holy crap. This is camouflage of a different sort, in that you have camouflaged your true desire to experience life with friends. Well, I tend to disagree with that a little bit, but let's continue. Um, um, in that you have camouflaged your true desire to experience life with friends, with joy, with purpose. In any case, you are put on notice to be aware of apathy. Now, this is where it comes to truth in this. To become aware of apathy and self-induced boredom. Well, now I'm seldom bored, but I am sort of locked into my own little paradigm down here. So there is truth in this. You may have to dig deeply to find what excites you enough to scurry across the wasteland of your dulled senses and live. Well, I've been doing that. Yesterday, I was out in the yard digging, literally, not metaphorically, but physically, to dig a friend of mine out who got stuck in my yard due to all the rain. And, it took 4 hours of digging and jacking and come-alongs. It was a big event. So, but anyway, contrary Fox may also be telling you that you have become too visible. Well, I doubt that. In climbing into a place of recognition, oftentimes the envy or jealousness of others is thrown in your face. If you are feeling attacked, withdraw. It may be time to assume the attitude of the hermit, that's me, and deck yourself in the cloak of invisibility. Which is really strange because one of the things I teach about is the hermetics of there are some things there are things that I never could have learned without becoming a hermit at least up to a point. Now, some of this was more than self-imposed, but it was medically imposed upon me. But anyway, but to the point though, this is true. And so for me to pull up 3 new cards out of 9. Now, the order with which these others have shown up, I'm not putting much faith in the order of the cards, but the fact that I chose 6 of them out of 9 only on my second draw of these cards. And I mean, I shuffled them good. I did, because the last thing I wanted to do was to I've been around a lot of carnies and so forth, and some guys will say, well, they'll shuffle the cards, but they'll salt the deck. And what they mean is they'll keep a group of cards together. And when they shuffle, you keep that small group of cards together. So if you're any good at all, you may get a couple of those cards back. Like if it's a wild card, if you're playing AC Deucey or something, or whatever, deuces and one-eyed jacks, then you run, you may be able to give it to your partner, whatever it is. But anyway, so when you shuffle, you can salt the deck by not shuffling a certain portion on purpose. I made absolutely sure that I separated those 9 cards within the deck of 44 so that I couldn't salt the deck to myself. And then I shuffled normally, and I being mindful not to look at the cards. So I made sure that the cards are always face down. And I still can't figure out how one of them got turned around, being the fox upside down. So I'm like, well, that was interesting in itself, because I was just trying to shuffle normally, So anyway, but the fact that Al shows up again, which has been a strong totem of mine for many, 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 many years, is just extremely encouraging in my mind. And before I started this video, I could hear Al out the back. I turned off the TV so there wouldn't be any noise differential, and I could hear Al in the background outside my window in the forest out there, not far away, because I could hear it. So it means he's fairly close, or she is. And so Al shows up again. Now, in this particular draw, it shows up as the last one. But the one I kind of wanted to go over again, and I'm being asked to do this through spirit messages, and like right now, and they're telling me, please read this because it's important. And okay. Now, why I pulled the whale card, because I'm not around the ocean. Now, I grew up around the ocean, down in Tampa and Clearwater and St. Pete area, and did a lot of sailing in Tampa Bay and just a lot of stuff growing up as a kid. But, storms threw me out of Florida, but that's done me any good here. I've been hit more by hurricanes where I live now than Tampa has. but almost like 3 times more than the Tampa St. Pete area has. It's unbelievable. We've been smacked up here. But anyway, whale. Whale is the record keeper. Whale is very much like a swimming library. Whale carries the history of Mother Earth and is said to have been placed here by the ancients from the dog star Sirius. Now, most of us in this, I say in this business, we understand, that the dog star and that Sirius plays a large part in some of the old ancients and things. So, okay, here we go. Biologists say that whale is a mammal and very possibly lived on land millions of years ago. In tribal legend, whales move into the ocean happened when the earth shifted, and Lemuria, the motherland, went below the waters. All of our petroglyphs speak of the motherland, Mu, and the disaster that brought the red race to North America from the west, beyond the great waters. The symbols in the petrographs speak of the rivers and the mountains crossed by our ancestors when they sought solid ground as the water receded. Whales saw the events that led to the settling of Turtle Island, which is North America, and has kept the records. This is the interesting part. Well, all of it's interesting, but that whale has kept the records and the knowledge of the motherland alive. It is said that Mu will rise again when the fire comes from the sky and lands in another ocean on Mother Earth. The native medicine people are waiting for this event as the next sign of Earth changes. Earth children will have to unite and honor all ways and all races in order to survive. Whale medicine people are coded in their DNA to understand that sound frequencies can bring up records in the memories of ancient knowledge. Sound frequencies can bring up records in the memories of ancient knowledge. They are usually clairaudient or able to hear both very low and very high frequencies. I complain of that all the time. They are usually also physically developed and fairly psychically, not physically, psychically developed and fairly telepathic. Many times, however, they are not awakened to their gifts until it is time to use the stored records. Many whale medicine people are able to tap into the universal mind of Great Creator and have no idea how or why they know what they know. How many times have I spoke about that? Now, I bring this up because whale has showed up, which was, I never thought to look at whale medicine personally. So for this card to show up twice with 2 9-card readings is like, and it continues in areas where I have been speaking about for myself, not necessarily that you should believe, but this is what I've found in my own life. And that for my search and for my understanding of Great Spirit. And so every time I close one of my sessions, I say, accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, and all of the wisdom from the universe. Accept and receive. And so whale medicine people are tapping into the great mind of Great Creator. And I'm just asking everybody, maybe I'm asking everybody to be more like whale. I'm not asking, I'm suggesting, oh, hey, let's tap into this. But what is more important to me is that the car showed up again. As whoops, here we go. All right. Now, crow showed up again. The lynx showed up again, and the dragonfly. Now, I'm going to pull dragonfly because it's telling me to. Wait, hang on. Oh, sorry, there's more to whale. Many whale medicine people are able to tap into the universal mind of the Great Spirit and have no idea how or why they know what they know. Only later, When they receive confirmation, do they begin to understand how they know or why they receive the impressions? Now, I've talked about that. I'm getting these angel messages, don't know where they're coming from, don't know what they mean, but I'm going to have this conversation with y'all, and here we go. So, whale medicine teaches us to use the sounds and frequency that balance our emotional bodies and heal our physical forms. To recall why the human shaman drum brings healing and peace is to align itself with whale's message. The drum is the universal heartbeat and aligns all beings heart to heart. Now, I have spoken a lot about how we need to speak from our heart, think from our heart, we do more things with our heart and then through our minds. You know, we use our heart, but if we think too much on things, we forget the heart. We'll leave the heart out of it. If you have pulled the whale card, you are being asked to tap into these records and to allow yourself to be sung to by those who have the original language. We are the only creatures who do not have our unique cry or call. Find yours. Allow your voice to use this sound to release tension or emotion. Whale signals a time of finding your origins, of seeing your overall destiny as coded in your DNA, and of finding the sounds that will release those records. Now, I read this not necessarily for myself, but each one of us need to find those sounds that will release these ancient records to each of us. And there are those who do the throat singing, and when you really get down into it and do it and physically feel it all the way down into your toes, there's some spiritualness to that. You know, the guys, the whirling dervishes, you know, would literally dance and whirl for hours, you know, and there's magic in that, I just got to say. And the more that you whirl and turn, you're stirring up the universe and things around you. And I know I have friends of mine who are like, well, you know, Dave, I can believe part of this. But when you say that, you know, to go out and dance and drum is more special than just sitting and meditating. And I'm telling people, I'm here to tell you that there's something in the drum and the dance. There's something in the drum in itself. There's something in the dance in itself. But when you combine the two, the drum and the dance, and you dance with Creator and with the universe and with a positive intent, there are magical spiritual things that happen that I have never gotten by sitting and meditating. I don't care how much and what I've taken, it's not the same thing. I have gotten high like LSD by simply drumming and dancing and gone, oh my God, I have literally lifted out of my body and I'm not even here. I didn't take anything. I haven't, you know, well, I prepared for the ceremony, but the simple act of, well, I guess it was the whole ceremony in itself, but the simple fact that I'm drumming and dancing, and that through my cleansing of the day or so before, that I allowed my physical body to be as cleansed as possible so that my spirit body could ascend at that time and be a part of this ceremony, to be able to feel the magic of the universe. But I have never, ever in all of my other kinds of things experienced the same thing while sitting and meditating. So for people to say, well, you know, that's just a bunch of hogwash. I'm sorry. Now, does that mean that you can't attain, you know, a higher level of thought without drumming or without dancing? No, that's not what I'm saying at all. But I'm saying that it's special. It is beyond. If you've never done it, then you can't compare with me. Or of all the probably millions who do it on the planet. I doubt that there are a billion, but there are at least millions, you know, with the different tribes and so forth. So then native African tribes use drums, and all of that is very symbolic. And the dance and how that goes, oh my God, you get a feeling of transcendence. You literally come out of yourself with the dancing. There are those, the tribe, and I'm trying to remember now. and a lot of Turtle Clan, and they will stomp dance. And they, in the old days, they used turtle shells. And when the turtles were gone, they would use different methods like leather or deer skin or whatever, and or other parts of other turtles. And they would make shakers out of and put rocks and bones and different things in there to make different sounds. And then they would strap them to their legs. And I mean, they will dance all night long. 20, 30, 40, hundreds of people have gotten together with these stomp dances. And once you get in it, you don't get out. It's the leader of the dance who stops it. Now, the newer dances that I've seen, and I haven't seen a stomp dance in many years, which is, I would like to act, even in my old age and my crippledness, I would love to at least go and participate. If I couldn't join in, I would like to be in presence of what these folks do. And the people who become involved in the dance are literally carried in the dance. It's, you're so tired, your legs are give out. There are old people in there that can barely walk that join the dance and will dance for 3 or 4 hours or more. I mean, they literally have danced till sunrise, and they might start at 10 or 11 o'clock at night and dance until the sun rises. Unbelievable. And if you've never been involved in anything like that, seen it, participated in any way, shape, or form, then, you know, I say for those folks who will criticize it, I say, okay, go ahead, because you've not experienced anything like it. No offense to you, but until you experience something like it, then, and just hold the comments, please, because it is very spiritual. So with that said, though, that it has to do with the sound, and what the message is coming to me through this whale card, again, to explain to us. We need to find our vibrations, our sound, the sound of us, of each one of us. Each one of us has our own voice, our own call. And that's what the whale card is saying. Humans are one of the few critters on earth. I mean, you know, every animal has a cry, but what does humans do? You know, we don't have a call per se, like the whale song, or woodpeckers. They even have a sound that different types of woodpeckers will make. And I mean, you know, every animal has a cry. You know, possums make sounds. You're just not around to hear them, you know. So it's like, but humans, you know, we don't have one except to scream at the top of our lungs. But, you know, there's not like a common call that we as humans have. However, those of us who have been, I want to say, allowed to dance and to drum and to enter into the sacredness of the sound, because it's through the sound and of these vibrations and the reverence to Mother Earth. Because when you're dancing on Mother Earth, you're paying homage to her. And so many people think, well, it's all about worship. And nah, it has to do with about honor and respect. In all of the readings that I do with medicine cards, the word worship is never in any of this text. Now, as I bring this last bit up, I'm going to read about Dragonfly, but I want to bring something to point. This might sound like New Age woo-woo. This book was written in 1988. Okay. So you can say this particular book was printed 1988. Text copyright by Jamie Sands and David Carson, 1988. If it'll show up. But to the point of this is 98, 30 years later. And this information is more pertinent now than it was 30 years ago. I mean, I've studied these things for the last 30 years, and they've always been important in my life. But to have these things come to me now at this time in my life, well, it was a blessing from my dear friend who always has been keeping in touch with me over the many years. And this was her personal possession she sent to me, especially to be able to help deliver these messages to anyone who will listen. It's a dragonfly, because this was the other one that the spirit said, these two, because anyway, dragonfly medicine is of the dream type and of the illusionary facade we accept as physical reality. Now, how many times have I spoke about this? We talk about the matrix, 3D reality, etc., etc. This is what they're talking about. The iridescence of dragonflies' wings reminds us of the colors not found in our everyday life. Dragonfly shifting of color, energy, form, and movement explodes into the mind of the observer, bringing vague memories of a time or a place where magic reigned. Some legends say that Dragonfly was once dragon. Now, I bring this up because I am a dragon. I'm a water dragon in the Chinese calendar. So the fact that dragon shows up twice again is like more significant than it may be of some of these other cards. Now, owl has always been with me. So it's like, of course, owl would be there. But dragonfly, whale, for me, this is different. Dragon. Uh, some legends say that dragonfly was once dragon, and that the dragon had scales like dragonfly's wings. Dragon was full of wisdom and flew through the night, bringing light with its fiery breath. The breath of dragon brought forth the art of magic and the illusion of changing form. Now, I've talked about transcendental meditation. I'm sorry. Oh man, astral projection, transcendental meditation. Bah. Anyway, but that's all right too. But in astral projection, you're sort of becoming a dragon, in because dragon can appear in anyway. Dragon was full of wisdom and flew through the night air, bringing light with its fiery breath. The breath of dragon brought forth the art of magic and the illusion of changing form. Then dragon got caught in its own facade. Coyote tricked dragon into changing form, and the shape of its new body became like dragonflies. In accepting the challenge to prove its power and magical prowess, dragon lost its power. Interesting. Dragonfly is the essence of the winds of change, the messages of wisdom and enlightenment, and the communications from the elemental world. Now, you've heard me talk about elementals, of the ones that I've met on the river and in different places. And, there's been videos where orbs cross the screen during a live stream here at my house, of all the pictures that I've taken of orbs and things of that nature. So what does it say? And the elementals. This elemental world is made up of the tiny spirits of plants and of the elements of air, earth, fire, and water. In essence, this world is full of nature spirits. And you've heard me talk about it, when you sit down and meditate with a tree, or you go out and you pick something, and that these things will come to you. If dragon has flown into your cards today, you may have forgotten to water your plants, and that's true again. On another level, you may need to give thanks to the foods you eat for sustaining your body, which I need to do more of. I mean, I'm always grateful, but I need to put more oomph into my prayer, I guess. On the psychological level, it may be time to break down the illusions you have held that restrict your actions or ideas. Now, I've been having a little personal what's going on here, and I feel like I get knocked out. And even today, I was like, why am I knocked out today? Well, I worked my ass off yesterday digging my friend out of my front yard. But to the point, though, it's like, yeah, but I mean, I wasn't conscious. And I kept getting this message like, hang on, you're on a special mission. And I'm like, oh, come on. No, just shut up, go back to sleep. You're on a special mission. Bye-bye. Okay. Now here I am doing this. Dragonfly medicine always beckons you to seek out the parts of your habits which you need to change. So I'm looking at myself and going, there's something in here. Am I really being taken off world, or am I going on some kind of spirit mission? I don't know. But I realize that I would like to be awake more. There are things in my little personal area here I need to take care of, and I'm not awake enough to do it. And I want to be, so somehow I got to find a balance in this, but I'm being told by spirit, and there's other things you are not aware of at the moment, and I need to be patient. Well, okay. Um, Dragonfly teaches, yeah. Have you put too much weight, or have you started to look like a scarecrow? Well, I have let my beard grow. So in that respect, I'm a little scarecrowish. Have you tended to the changes you have wanted to make in your life? If you feel the need for change, call on Dragonfly. Ah, this is the ticket. It says to call on Dragonfly. I didn't call on Dragonfly before. I just pulled the card. See, there's a message in this. I need to call upon Dragonfly to help with this change. Thank you all for helping me through this. To guide you through the mist of illusion to the pathway of transformation. Now, you're always hearing me talking about the transition versus ascension. And these folks in 1988 were talking about the transformation, which is very similar to the transition, our transformation. We're what I'm being told at the moment is it's sort of like I've been in a cocoon, and that as a butterfly, I'm going to, come out as probably a giant moth. Of course, there are some very pretty moths, but versus butterflies, there's some ugly butterflies too, I gotta say. But I wanted to give this update, and Pamela, I see you over there in the corner if you're still on. And to all of you, I send blessings to you. There are a lot of things that are going on right now, and I'm getting messages all the time. I just don't necessarily make reports on them because it sounds to me like I'm just repeating my damn self, and I'm like, but they heard this last time. No, you got to tell them. You got to keep emphasizing, to hold on to your core value and to meditate on your core value, because that's what's going to keep us strong for this next part of this transition. So it's like I just wanted to bring this to y'all. I hadn't really planned it, other than to say that I wanted to do this and do an update, because I felt it was important to those of you who watched last time, and to see that 6 out of 9 showed back up a second time. Like, oh, holy mackerel. So I love you all. I thank you. I give you always my love and energy. I send out prayers to every single one of you. My prayers are always for you folks. I don't get on enough and be able to thank you enough for, just showing up. And I know that, there are people who have thousands and hundreds of thousands and millions of subscribers. The many folks, and I consider it many, who show up and send comments or leave prayers and say prayers on my behalf and so forth. Pamela and other folks who have sent me gifts and things over the times that we've known each other. I consider it very, very humbling and very sweet, oh my goodness, you have no idea. And that I understand that even though we are not connected on a telephone or whatever, and that you can see my ugly mug every once in a while and talk about some of these things, we are connected in this universe. And that is what is important. It's not about how many shares I get or how many likes I get. It's never been about that. And I was told well over a year ago now that I've been into doing this thing, that to talk about this subject in particular, is that those who wish to hear and those who need to seek, they will find this information. And if I put it out there with honesty, with myself, in whatever ugly mess I may be in, if I am truthful, if I show you my eyes, if I give you my honesty, that you will understand it and see it. And that's what's important. If it was only one person, it's important. And I consider you all, there are 3 watching now, it says, if that's really true. But to anyone else who may watch this far in, I thank you. I thank you. I thank you. From my heart, soul, and from my soul's heart, I thank you for even participating in the thought. But there are so many signs that are showing up in this world, whether it's from me or other people. Look for animal signs in your own life. Look for other signs and signals. They're there right now. This book was written in 1988, 30 years ago, and now it's coming into play as being very, 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 very important now. It was important back then, and I understood that back then. But now to receive this, it's almost like a double whammy, in my opinion, because I have studied these things and I know many of these things, but I didn't know all about this about dragonfly. I didn't know all of this about whale. I didn't know that whale would even, fit into my life cycle, if you will. But at this time in my life, whale is, because I am seeking the knowledge of the universe, of how we can become, the best soul beings that we can. So for these cards to show up, is, in my opinion, for me at least, is to validate, as the cards say, that I do exist and that this information does exist in many forms for all of us. So I'm going to close with that, with my little prayer, as I usually do. I pray that each one of you will accept and receive the healings of the universe, that each one of you, your friends, your family, your neighbors, your relatives, and all of your relations, that you will accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, and the wisdom from the Creator, through the universe, from Source, and understand that every single one of us are connected to the Source at all times. When we say prayers, it goes into the Source, and we draw upon the Source to pass along our prayers. We are all so connected, and all of the science is proving what has been this etherical, magical nonsense to them. But for those of us who have studied the natural magics of the planet, of Mother Earth, of just the natural sciences, and who have walked the talk, and I say that because I live as, my light bill was $43 this month, and I ran the heater. It's like it should have been $33. I spent $10 to run my little electric heater last month. And people say, well, do you really walk the talk? Well, yes, I conserve as much as I can because it's not necessary. I change my lifestyle because why should I spend money on electricity when there's firewood laying in my yard and I got a wood heater over here? Yeah, I may be old and decrepit, but I can still build a damn fire. But I have to make myself do it. That's for true. But it's the effort. It's what keeps me alive. I'm outside my yard yesterday digging my friend out of my yard because he sunk literally this deep in my yard because we've had so much rain and his truck was so heavy. And it took me 4 hours to dig him out, and it's but so what did I gain from all of that? At 66, I can still go out there and dig somebody out of my yard. That's what it proved to me, and when necessity dictates, I still got it in me. And that's an important thing to know. I'm sore as hell, can barely walk today, but hey, I'm still alive and I feel good to the fact that I could do it yesterday and that I did make up my mind to do what I did yesterday. So there's a lesson in everything. And I looked at it yesterday as, well, I don't know what the hell you're teaching me out here in the rain and the cold and in the mud. I mean, I was covered in mud and I still have some mud. Noticed it was caked on the back of my fingernails, but I think that was for me trying to pick up all the wood from my yard. But to the point of that, there's so much to be learned every single day if we just accept and go, okay, it was really crappy. 3.5 hours in the rain and the mud, and another half hour, 45 minutes to clean up, and I still got a mess out in my yard. But it's like, what was the lesson in that, Dave? I put my pain aside. I had to think, this is more important than how bad does my back hurt. How much, you know what? Well, I'm not dead yet. I can still use my arms. Okay. So I was overriding the pain. I was focusing on the mental. Um, it's sort of like wax on, wax off, wax on, wax off. I got into how many clicks it was on the come along. Click, 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 click. And instead of worrying about son of a bitch, my back is killing me, I focused on the clicks on the come along. And I mean, I pulled this guy about 15 yards up my hill with a come along, had to reposition the chain every time. It was maddening. And in the rain. And so it's like, but to the point though, it's like, I made up my mind. He said, "Oh, well, just take me home. Oh, I'll call my daughter." Well, no, I was going to have his truck in my yard and all this other things. And he's going to have to arrange somebody to come get it. And I was like, nah, just, you ain't going to do anything anyway when you get home. But to the point though, it's like, but I forced myself to do it. And I'm proud that I did on the other side of it, because I could have gave in. But now on the other side, I'm like, yeah, that hurts, but it also makes me feel good that at 66, I can still get out there when I put my mind to it and do something that's strenuous, especially when it's necessary. And he needed to get home. It was important. And to call somebody to try to take him home, all that was really involved. And it was like, it would have taken me more time than what it did to just pull him out with a come along. But anyway, long story short of this, there was definitely a lesson and a message in that. And so, and also then today, then for me to go back through these cards, and I let this sit because I wanted to ruminate on it. So, but it was important that I bring up Dragonfly, and it was important that I bring up the Whale, because those are two things which all of us, we need to, with the Whale, we need to listen to the frequencies and to the sounds. And maybe it's a meditative mode. Maybe there's a lot to that. Now, not necessarily the word Om, but it's the tone. Om, Om. There are certain tones that you can achieve within your body, and your whole body will vibrate. It's healing. It's cathartic. It's spiritual. So Whale keeps telling us it's all about the frequencies. It's all about the songs. So each one of us has a song. Let's find that vibration. Let's find our songs. Share it with others as we can. And again, my blessings to all of you. And I hope that each one of you will find your own path and understanding. And I'm glad that I can share anything at all with you whenever that I can. Thank you for being there. Thank you for being who you are. Thank you for just allowing yourself to understand that you are attached to the source at all times, and how much we do make a difference. So peace out, everybody, until now. Until later. From now until later. Pamela, can't heal. Okay, buffering. All right, folks. Until next time, much love all the way around. And keep it between the ditches, that the old timers say. Because right now in South Georgia, boy, man, the mud is slicky, slicky, slicky. So be safe, my friends.